Hello babies and welcome back to my channel. Let's talk about 25 books that I would like to read in 2025. Okay, so I obviously did a video called 24 for 24 and I think I've read 4 books on that list. Maybe, if we're generous. And one of them was literally right at the end of 2024 and then the beginning of 2025. So I have made a new list. These are what I would like to call my priority TBR, but let's be real, my entire TBR is my priority TBR. So let's jump into it. There's a couple of repeats because they're books that I'm like, I really want to read these. There's a couple of sequels, and then there's just a random picks. I've tried to pick a little bit from all of the genres, both new and older books, so let's get into it. I don't know how much I'm going to say about each book, but I'm going to try my very best to at least give you a vibe. Book number 1 of the 25 is Voyage of the Damned by Frances White. I have heard nothing but good things from the people who I know who have read this. That was a long sentence. Because it's not like wildly well known, but any one of my friends that have like read it are like, it was so fun, it was so queer, it was like murder mystery on a boat, but fantasy. I'm just going to read you the teeny tiny bit of the blurb, which says 12 magical blessings, 12 days at sea, 1 chance to stop a killer and save the world. We are on this fancy ship. There are, I believe, 12 people on there which have these blessings, which is magical abilities. And then we have Ganymedes, who is the main character, who's apparently a clown and a slacker, and is just randomly there. I don't know why. I'm assuming we'll be told why, but yeah. Queer murder mystery on a boat, but also magic. And also I love this edition, it's so pretty. Then we have Blood of the Old Kings by Sun-Il Kim. This is epic fantasy, but surprisingly short. Also, let's be honest, I was brought in by this cover. It's perfect. I love it. And also by the fact that it is sort of necromantic magic, which is one of those sort of sneak sub-genres that I have become a little bit obsessed with. And also the blurb. The blurb is perfect. There is no escaping the empire. Even in death you will serve. In an empire fueled by necromancy, dead sorcerers are the lifeblood. Their corpses are wrapped in chains and drained of magic to feed the unquenchable hunger for imperial conquest. And then I believe that we are following Adrienne, who is born with magic and has sort of resigned herself to this fate until a long dead sorcerer starts speaking in her head, saying that there might be a way out for her. It sounds perfect. I hadn't actually read the summary that closely, so this may be closer on the TBR than I thought. And we're going to a completely different direction, and we are hopefully going to read Sorcery and Small Magics by Micah Dozy. I am not sure. I have heard very good things and like 1 or 2 people saying things, but one of my friends have read this and said that it was amazing, and I love a sort of vaguely historical fantasy, queer, romance, romp, fun time, because I don't think it's technically in the romance genre, but there is romance in here. I also don't actually believe it's historical fantasy, but that's what the vibe is giving me, historical fantasy. We are following Lovander, who is a master of small magic, because big magic always blows up in his face. And then we are following sort of the rival, who I believe he accidentally chains himself to with a curse, and they have to go on a quest together to sort of try and figure out how to undo this curse / link between them. And also this cover is so beautiful. In 2025 I would also really love to read more of Olivia Blake's backlist, because I have a lot of it. This is not a backlist, this is her newest release. This is January's by Olivia Blake, which is a collection of short stories, I believe, about stories of love, magic and betrayal. This is the very cute Waterstones edition, and also I just love the fact that every Olivia Blake book has really beautiful sort of sneaky illustrations in here. I'm hoping they're also sort of scattered. Yes, they're scattered in there as well. They're fairy tale retellings basically from Olivia Blake, and I am very excited about reading them. Next comes a book that has been on my TBR for longer than I would like to admit, and that is The Drowned Woods by Emily Lloyd Jones. I love The Bone Houses by Emily Lloyd Jones, and this, like, I've started reading it and then I don't know why I put it down, but I'm sure it'll be amazing. I believe that there is a new book in the same world that has just come out as well, and people are raving about it. And in this we're following a water diviner who has run away from the prince who has tied her to his service. And I believe that she has been running for like a long time when she is found by the person who brought her to the prince in the first place, who's now asking for her help. And it's short and sweet, and it's just is this entire video just me showing you all the beautiful books I have on my TBR? Possibly. Some romantasy, which it's on thin ice for me, but this is The Woven Kingdom by Tahira Murphy. This is I believe a romantasy, if not a fantasy romance, but this follows a male character and a female character who are on opposite sides of a war, I think. We have Alicent, who is sort of pretending to be a disposable servant when she is actually a long-lost heir to an ancient kingdom. And then we have the Crown Prince, Cameron, who has heard prophecies foretelling the death of his king, and now he is trying to sort of like prevent it. I have heard very good things and very bad things, and I'm very excited about figuring it out. I love Tahira Murphy's writing, even if I don't always want to continue with her series. So I'm hoping that I can love this. Also, I really want to keep this edition. Okay, it's just so pretty. Next up, we have A Piranesi by Susanna Clarke. It's always just been told to me as we're following this character who lives in a house. Where this house is, or who the character was before they came to the house, no one really knows. It's super short. It's meant to be amazing. I really want to read some Susanna Clarke, so this is on here. Then I am determined to join in on the Robin Hobb life. I don't know how I have snuck through my fantasy loving reading journey without ever reading any Robin Hobb. I don't know how it happened. This is The Assassin's Apprentice, the very first book in the Farseer trilogy, which is the first series in the Elderling world, Elder something, I can't remember. I believe we are following Fitz, who gets dropped off at a castle where his father lives because his mother's family is no longer willing to take care of him. And his father has, however, prior to Fitz's arrival, run away and given up the throne, and now Fitz is just sort of there as like and he becomes this sort of in-between of the common people and the noblemen's. And I love that I can give you a summary of this, even though I've never read it, because so many people have talked about this, and I don't know how I've snuck past. But yes, this is the first one, and I'm determined to read it this year. Next, we have another chunky sort of epic fantasy, the start of a new series. This is Andrea Stewart's The Gods Below. I am not sure what this is about. We're following two sisters on opposite sides of a war. And then, yes, after a divine war shattered the world, humanity struck a pact with the god Cleon. In return for a regular tribute of magical gems, Cleons will restore the world to its former glory. But as each land is transformed, so too are its people, changed into strange new forms if they survive at all. Hakara is not willing to pay such a price. Desperate to protect herself and her sister Rasha, she flees her homeland for the safety of a neighboring kingdom. But tragedy strikes when they're separated, and Hakara is forced to abandon Rasha to an unknown fate. Yet, when Hakara discovers she can channel the power of the magical gems, she's invited to join a clandestine plot to destroy the God Pact. To win Hakara to their cause, the conspirators reveal a startling secret. Rasha is alive and they can help rescue her, but only if Hakara goes to war against the God. I had once again just been like, oh, this sounds amazing, I'm very excited, and then not actually read the summary. I'm very excited about this. We have another new to the TBR book. This is Mistress of Lies by K.M. Enright. This is another sort of dark, gritty fantasy. Just look at these edges. We were following several characters who live in a city that is fueled by blood. We're following a daughter of a powerful but disgraced blood worker, a bastard with a terrible gift, and these two are tasked to discover the identity of a killer cutting a bloody swath through the city. Just so pretty. I have heard mixed things. When I say mixed things, I've heard like two people talk about it. One person who loved it and one person who hated it. So next up is the book that I'm actually reading currently, which is Darkwater Daughter by H.M. Long. This is what I would like to call sort of like mid-level fantasy. I'm really enjoying reading this currently. We're following two characters. We are following Mary, who is a storm singer who is being forced into singing storms basically for these pirates. And then we are following Samuel, who is a disgraced captain who is trying to catch this pirate king of some kind, and their fates are sort of intertwined in an odd way. I love H.M. Long's writing. It's very easy to sort of like grasp, and yeah, I'm enjoying it. Next we have The Stars Aren't Dying by Emery Robin, which is a sci-fi space opera, I believe. This is inspired by empires of ancient Rome and Egypt that cast the story of Cleopatra among the stars. And it sounds so good. I've had plenty of sci-fi friends that love the sort of same weird sci-fi that I do. Absolutely love this, so I'm really excited about finally picking this up. Then we have a very, very new TBR baby, though it has been on my TBR for a long time. This is One Dark Window by Rachel Gillick. This I was sort of sucked into because it gives me the same vibes of For the Wolf, but apparently there is a really funky magic system in here based on tarot cards, and I'm very excited about it, and I had never noticed how shiny that foiling is, and I'm very, very distracted by it. I'm sorry. It's so pretty. This is Song of the Huntress by Lucy Holland. I have actually started reading this, and I really love Lucy Holland's writing. It is very poetic. That's the right word. This is a sort of vague retelling of the Wild Hunt and also a couple of sort of British mythologies. We're following a couple of different characters, and this book sort of straddles that sort of fantasy / historical mix. I absolutely love Sister Song by Lucy Holland, which was a retelling of the Sisters of Trois, which I believe is an old British ballad. I really hope that I can get myself to read this one this year, because from what I read initially, I really enjoyed it. It's just a little bit chunky. I have a book that is a repeat of last year, but this is The Bone Orchard by Sarah A. Muller. It's on my January TBR. I really hope I can just sort of knock it out of the park, because it sounds weird and wonderful. And I believe that we are following a woman who is taking care of this brothel. However, she's also doing prophecies, I think, and the king asks her to pick the heir to the throne. A repeat of last year's 24 for 24. This is The Black Tongue Thief by Christopher Buehlman. I don't know too much about this. I know it's sort of a gritty fantasy. We're following a couple of different characters, and I believe that the way that they meet is that one of them tries to steal from the other one, and she will having none of it. So she's like, well, if you're going to steal from me, you're going to come on this quest with me. And I love that sort of good subgenre. Yay. It's another Olivia Blake book. This is Master of Death. This is the sort of like weird urban fantasy that I absolutely adore. And this is the indie published version. I may actually pick up the actual, where's the, oh yeah, there's art in here. It's sort of weird urban fantasy. We're following a real estate agent who's a vampire, and the ghost that is haunting the house that they're currently selling was murdered. And then, oh yeah, we have the Godson of Death. We also got some historical fantasy on here. This is Threadneedle by Carrie Thomas. This has been high on my radar for a while, but it keeps being pushed down because it's sort of like, it's quiet, but it has presence, you know. We have another chunky high fantasy. This is Talon Sister by Jen Williams, which I was very generously sent by Titan Books. I've been meaning to read this because it sounds just weird enough that I'm really interested. Oh yeah, we're following several different characters, including Yinnis, who was apparently raised by griffins and have never seen another human face. We have Envoy Kato, who works for the Imperium. And then we have the soldier Levern, who was transformed into a herald, a magical killing machine. Her might wipe clean. It sounds so weird. I haven't ever heard anyone else talk about this, but I'm super pumped about it. I believe it's a duology. And then this is a book that I've been meaning to read for a long time, but this is The Shadow of the Gods by John Gwynne. It's a gritty epic fantasy. I believe we are following a main character who is sort of middle-aged and a mom, and I believe she's either taking revenge or she's looking for her son. And I've heard nothing but amazing things about this, so I'm very excited about finally picking it up. Then I also am determined to read Immortal Dark by Tigris Germa, which is a dark academia sort of contemporary fantasy. It's not here yet, but I have pre-ordered the Fairy Loot edition. I've heard nothing but amazing things. It's vampires. I'm very excited about it. And I believe that we are following a young woman who is determined to prove that the vampires killed her sister. So she joins up to this academy to become a vampire companion. And snazzy things unfold. I've heard, yeah, really good things. I'm very excited about it. And then the last 4 books of my 25 for 25s are sequels. So I'm just going to show them to you. I'm not going to talk too much about them. These are books that I'm very excited about finally reading. This is Bloodmarked by Tracy Deonn, which is the sequel to Legendborn. Oathbound is finally coming out this year. I'm very excited. I will be reading this before so that I can power into Oathbound. This is one of those YA contemporary sort of series that I am obsessed with. Like, not a whole lot of YA holds my attention anymore, but this Legendborn was so good. I'm determined to finish the duology of The Serpent's Gate, which is what this duology is called. This is The Thousand Eyes, the first book. An Unspoken Name was so good and so weird, and I'm going to reread it, and then I'm going to read this. I will finish A Course of Dragon. Yeah, that's the series. There's 5 books in total. It's one of my favorites of all time. This is the last book, Discord of Gods by Jen Lyons. I'm scared about how I'm going to feel about this, but I will read it. And then last but not least, I'm going to continue my apparently one a year. This is The Memory of Babel, which is the 3rd book in the Mirror Visitors series by Christelle Dabos. A Winter's Promise and The Missing of Claire de Lune were so good, and I really want to read both the 3rd and the 4th book this year, but it's just perfect. But that was very long. I apologize. Also, no. If you wanted to continue watching, then you will. So hello, if you're still here, I love you. But that is my 25 for 25. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please don't forget to hit that thumbs up and hit the subscribe button. I'm going to be uploading at least once a week. So we'll see. And then remember, I'm proud of you and you're doing great. And I'll see you all soon with another video.